What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Earn It, Save It, Invest It. This is my week 16 of my $100,000 challenge. Now it's a little bit different. I'm trying out the live stream. I already tried it out once a few minutes ago, about half an hour ago, and my microphone wasn't working. So we're gonna try it again. But this is my week 16 of my $100,000 challenge. If you've been watching, I started out with a little over 7,200, and I'm turning it into $100,000. So this is week 16. I'm gonna go over what I bought, if I sold anything, what I'm thinking is gonna happen in the market. So yeah, go ahead and give a like and subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, we're gonna see if this video can actually stick, because the last one I had to stop and delete because in 2 minutes in there was no audio. So let's try this one more time and let's see if we can get it going. So already. Okay, so $100,000 challenge. I'm at $9,638.10. As you can see, HIMS right here, top performer. It's a top holder, top position right now. It's at 30% of my whole position or my whole portfolio. So that is a pretty heavy position. I have been considering selling a portion of it, not too much, because I do believe in the stock, but I do also think it's heavy. It's double the next one, right? TQQQ is 16%, so it's slightly over or slightly under, double that one. But everything else, it's double. And then it triples, Fubo, it triples Meta, triples Amazon. So I'm just, I'm at this point, I feel like I want to sell a little bit of HIMS, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But it did do well over the last week, that and TQQQ. 4% and 6% respectively. Celsius went down 5%, but in the last month it's actually done pretty well. Nike, Fubo, Meta, Amazon. Fubo's actually done really well over the last week or two. I haven't been buying it, which I should have been buying it, but I didn't because I just wanted to build my cash position. As you can see, it's at $391, which it's going to move up. It's going to move up $50 really soon, because on Mondays I get the $50 deposit in every week. So and that's at a 4% weight. So I'm okay with that. 4% is fine with cash. Obviously, I might move up to like a 6 or 7% if I'm really starting to feel like, hey, I think a drop is going to happen, which I'm starting to think that something's going to happen. I don't know how big. I don't think it's going to be a 20 or 30% correction or crash. But I do believe it might be a 10% correction or 12% correction, which could send individual stocks 15, 20, 25% sometimes. So, I wanted a little bit of cash, so I didn't buy anything for a little while. And then, since I actually started this challenge, I'm up $1,490 in terms of my investments, and I'm also up $800 because of I put in $50 a week. So over the last 16 weeks, I put in $800. So I'm up about $2,300 in total, which is pretty good. And as you can see, that actually is just slightly performing all the indexes, right? The Russell 2000 since June 2nd is performing better than every other index. It did not perform better than me, but it performed better than the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, and the Dow Jones, which is pretty incredible. Also gives me a little bit of skepticism, but I'm okay with it. When the Fed funds rate, right, they're lowering the interest rate essentially, so it's like small caps are going to run a little bit more towards that, right? Small caps run when the rate is lower. It's easier for them to borrow money. It's cheaper for them to borrow money. So it helps. So as you can see, I am beating all the indexes, which is nice. It's really nice to be doing that. There's a while there I really wasn't. Sorry, it's like 1 a.m. right now. Just doing all this stuff. This is a new live stream, new test out, right? So anyway, though, most of the time I was kind of in the middle of the pack. There's a few times like June 23rd, right here, you can see I really went down, and then over here I really went up, and then I bounced down again, and then I'm bouncing back up. So, I'm not exactly going with the market, right? You see right here, the market bounced up a little bit, actually shot up as I shot down. And that's HIMS, right? That's HIMS right there. Now here you can see the market kind of dipped a little bit and went dipped down, and that's when I actually did a big boost up. So, you know, if you pick the right stocks, sometimes you're not gonna, you know, the market may be doing one thing and you might be doing something completely different. But you always want to be going up, obviously. In June, I obviously dipped past, you know, from the start of this challenge, I was negative. I was actually negative for about, I don't know, about a week or so, maybe less than a week. So yeah, that's, you know, that's how I've been performing since I started this challenge. Now, I'm gonna go back to, this is over the weeks, right? I'm gonna do this over 520 weeks. I'm gonna be doing this challenge. Now, this challenge is just kind of infinite. I'm gonna just constantly be investing and doing stuff, but I definitely had a challenge of, if I invest $7,354 and I invest $50 a week and I make about 20% a year, compounded annual growth rate, then I'll make at least $100,000 in that time. Now, there will be times where I make less than 20,000, and then there's gonna be times I hope I make a lot more than 20,000 or 20%. So it's just gonna be, you know, how I position my portfolio, making sure that I find some diamonds, some diamonds in the rough, but I cannot be putting all my eggs in those baskets. I got to make sure that I limit my risk. So it's going to be very interesting to try to get to that mark. But at week 16, if I take that $7,354 into 100K over the 520 weeks, essentially at week 16, I should be at about 8,600 and I'm at 9,600. So I'm up, you know, about 15% or so, a little bit more, you know, on the actual challenge that I want to be in. I'm up $150 on the week, which is about a little bit over 1%. So I will take that. But again, like I said, you saw the chart, I could be dipping down lower as well. So we'll just see how it goes. But right now, currently, I'm up $1,000 on week 16 that I should be. I want to quickly go over, quickly go over the fear index, fear greed index. Like I said, it's 1 a.m. over here. I'm pretty exhausted, and this is a test of a live stream. I've been kind of working on the little template and figuring out how this whole thing works. So yeah, and like I said, we're in greed. I honestly think we might be bouncing back into the greed, because if you've seen any of my other videos, you know, I've been talking about how I think the market's going to actually go up, and then I think I actually was saying the market might go down in the middle of this last week, or possibly this next week coming up. If we do not go down this week, I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to say we're going to have a bad month in October or November. At the same time, we also had a really hard correction already this year. The odds of us having a big correction this year are not likely, but I do think we can have some kind of a correction, but I'm just wondering where is it going to come from, right? The Fed already announced data. The market didn't seem to flinch really, right? Okay, we're going to lower rates, and the market was great, but it almost seemed like, well, was it already priced in? And yeah, it's just a lot to figure out what is actually going to send this down, because the unemployment rate went up, right? And there's certain things that's like, okay, is there cracks in the economy? But we're still being greedy, right? So right now we're in the greed, and it just seems like I think we're going to stay in the greed. I don't think we're going to get to extreme greed, but I think we'll stay in the greed to the high neutral until we really start seeing some cracks and start seeing a little downturn. And then of course it's going to go straight into fear and extreme fear as usual, because the stock market is very emotional. This is the AAII sentiment. So this is kind of like they take the pulse of the investors and, hey, what are you feeling? Are you feeling bullish? Are you feeling neutral? Are you feeling bearish? As you can see, we jumped from 39%, August 27th, there was 39% of the investors feeling bearish, and it jumped to almost 50%. It jumped a full 10% in 2 weeks, and now it's dropped back down 7% to 42. So, like I said, the stock market very, very emotional. Doesn't know where to go sometimes. I mean, now we're 41% bullish, right? That is not, let's look at some more historical data right here, right? All right, we're at 41% bullish. Okay, 41% bullish. Now, when was the last time we hit 41? Something like that, right? July, the early bits of July, right? And that was coming off of when we had the big, comeback, right? Early, April and everything like that. We were having that really hard, correction, the crash. And so as you can see, we're recovering from that, from the sentiment of the investors, right? Coming up, and then boom, we hit 41. And then we kind of went down a little bit. The market didn't go down too much. It had a little bit of a dip, but not anything crazy in August. It was a little bit of a dip, but it actually ended up in July, right? It was like the end of July when you see, let's just quickly go over. Let's look at let's go to QQQ. Alright, now let's see July. Right, the beginning of July, here's the end of July, right? So the beginning of July is right here where we were feeling extra greedy, right? And we still continue to push up for most of the July, and then we just had a real, just like a couple days, just boom, a big little correction. The market just is feeling a little too hot, let's pull it back for a second. And then we pushed back up in most of August, and we had a little bit of that pullback, and then we pushed back up, and then we just continued to push back all throughout September. This was my correction, or my prediction of a correction that could happen. Clearly, I am wrong right now, as it has just absolutely surpassed what I think it's going to. But that's why I said if we end up hitting the top end of, like, if we're up here in September, I have a feeling we're going to end up doing something bad. I'm going to keep buying. I'm going to keep buying every week. But it's just, I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to come down to some kind of correction. And I had a video before, and I'll do another video another time when I'm feeling a little bit more confident of this, and it's a little bit earlier in the day. This year, 2025, looks very similar to 2018. It's just a little bit in reverse. How, the big crash happened earlier in the year for us, and then maybe we have a smaller crash later. Whereas in 2018, we had the small crash early and then the big crash later in October. So it's just going to be interesting to see if that kind of same or similar pattern, but in reverse, right? We had the big one earlier. Now maybe we have, in 2018, there were 2 10% dips, right? We had 2 of them back to back. So maybe we go through one of those again. I don't know. But like I said, I just think there's going to be something to make this market correct itself a little bit. We are running really hot. Since September 2nd, basically all of September, we're up 6%. We are up 6%. We're up 6%. Now let me show you this really quick. Let me show you what usually the Q's September. It's a 30% win rate. September is its worst month. It's worse than February, which is at 36%. But 3 out of the last 10 years, it's had gains. And only a 0.7, and then we had a 2.0, and then we had a 2.5. We're looking at a 6% gain in September. I don't know. Look, we had a 4% in August and it went down 5%. We had a 10% in August, went down 5%, right? We had a 5% here and it went down. It just seems like, okay, well, if we went up 1% in August and then we jumped up 6% in September, I don't know. It's just leading me to think that October is going to be a bad month for stocks. Regardless, I still bought Fubo, like I said. It's just going to be interesting how in the beginning of July, we still bounced for a little bit, and then we had that crash, right? 41 in a couple weeks. Well, we just hit 41. And we went from 28 to 41 like that. Like that. It's so emotional. Last time, we hit 45. Right? We hit 45, and it took a minute to get there. It took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks to get from 29 to 45. It took 1 week to go from 28 to 41. Scares me a little bit. Scares me a little bit. And then the neutral. Look at everyone's picking a side right now. You're either bullish or bearish. Last time we had 16, there's not even on here. I'm sure there's a point, but everyone's picking a side right now. And most people are going to be picking the bullish side right now, right? Well, I guess actually, no. You actually have more people still on the bearish side. But that's because usually you're evened out with the neutral. Usually during a time where the stocks are going up, you're going to see more people on the bullish side. And not over here though. Obviously the market was going up. I mean, it just flipped. It's interesting. You know, it's interesting. But we'll see how it goes. Let me see. There you go. You know, this is the market. And like I said, we're at 6%. You know, I think, let me see. Yep. So September 2nd, I mean, we're at 6.5%. Something's got to give. Something has got to give. So what that is, I don't know. We'll find out eventually. Yeah, if you guys like this video, I don't know exactly even how long it was. I don't know what the quality of video it was. I don't know the quality of audio. I don't know any of that. I'm going to have to look at it. But I hope you were able to get something out of this. We'll see if this is a continuing thing. I do want to live stream. It makes my life easier as long as I can do this, because now I don't have to touch my computer. I just hit upload, or it's already there on live stream. So, but yeah, if you do like this, please give a like and subscribe, follow, comment, do all that good stuff. Let me know if you have any stocks that I could look into, because I want to start looking into more stocks. Not that I want to start looking into higher risk stocks, but I already know a lot of safe play stocks. I do want to figure out, okay, what are some stocks that are kind of underground or something that I would like to know. Maybe, you know, put like a 0.5% to 1% of my portfolio, something kind of small, but something that will, you know, continue to grow and grow significantly. You know, maybe I put another percent in there as it grows. You know, just something like that. The bigger ones like an Amazon, a Meta, and all those, I know they're not going to grow necessarily at a 20% every year. On average it might, but over the next 10 years, I'm going to need some of those diamonds in the rough. So if you do know of any of those, please let me know. And again, please like and subscribe if you like this stuff. So yeah, and never forget to earn it, save it, invest it, buy low, sell high. I want assets, not liabilities, and you can count on